Public Affairs very much thanks Residco, our sole corporate underwriter, for helping to make the production of this show possible.
You say detain, what do you mean by that?
I mean, I'm going before the judge. I will not coddle violent criminals. We will do whatever we can that those who commit violent crimes remain behind bars pending their trial.
And you can do that even under the Safety Act, right? Tell people, how can you do that as a state's attorney?
If the judge looks otherwise, we do an immediate appeal. So there are ways. We are going to prosecute crimes to the fullest. We won't cut things from a felony down to a misdemeanor for charges. We will make sure that they get fully charged on every crime that we can, that he or she.
So, Sean, what do you have to do as a state's attorney to do what's necessary to make the streets safe? What do you have to do?
Well, there's plenty that I have behind, but again, prosecute those that are responsible for the crimes. Let's not coddle violent criminals. Let's back the police in our communities. Let's work collaboratively together, and we will have safe streets, strong communities, thriving businesses in every area of this county.
You're watching Public Affairs. Our guest today is Bob Fioretti. He is the Republican nominee for State's Attorney of Cook County. What's the arrest rate on average in 2022 according to Wireplace?
I think it was probably about 5%, maybe a little bit more.
Murders, it's like 32%, but robberies, it's down to 3 or 5%. So it's a whole range.
Wait a minute, 32%, is that in terms of the amount on murders? Or were those cases closed?
Well, no. So, it's much worse for cases closed. We don't know what it is. I got to ask Wireplace. Yeah. It's really tough to know. No, that's just the arrest. I mean, after the arrest, what do you do, Bob? What do you have to do if you're really running the state's attorney? They come to you and they say, okay, we want to arrest this. They're going to charge him. Okay, they can arrest. They did arrest. Now they got to charge him, right? And they got to prosecute, right? I mean, you're the state's attorney, you got to prosecute.
When you just said, you're talking about the hidden cost of crime. That somebody commits a crime out there, well, let's look at retail theft. It's X number of dollars, okay? But how do you prosecute? You got to get detectives looking into it. You get the police who make the charges. You then get the prosecutors who have to bring charges before the court system and prosecute the individuals. That is the real hidden cost of crime. Murder, by the time this show is aired, we're going to have over 700 people shot just in the city of Chicago. I don't know how many of those will be, unfortunately, killed, but those shot total will be over 700. Let's think about this. The cost, the medical care is outrageous. And people in the suburbs say, well, that's not my problem. Yes, it is, because you pay for it. People throughout the county pay for the cost of treatment. Their taxes pay for it. Everyone here in this county pays for every shooting that happens, and we have to remember that. And together, we look at the hidden cost of crime. If we catch the person who murdered it, the cost of housing that individual in our jail system awaiting trial. That's what we need to look at too. And people then understand what happens here.
Well, so they get mugged on the street, the thugs come up, they rob them, and maybe they can reach a phone, their cell phone, maybe they can dial 911. And when they dial 911, what happens?
They have to wait. That's the problem. If they have enough officers on duty, and especially during a high volume time, I'll tell you, I have somebody that works for us in the group that I'm at, and he was recently, his car, they stole everything out of his car. He went to a gas station getting gas. They stole everything. They locked his car. They had his phone. They stole his shoes. And it was a very cold night. He had to wait 2.5 hours, I believe, or 2+ hours.
Look, he's on his own because, You look, Clayton Harris said this at one time. He was one of the Democrats running. Basically, I'm for defunding, okay? Brandon Johnson said that, the mayor, and they backed away. But they were for defunding. If you defund and you have fewer police, you call 911, nobody's there. Wirepoint said in 2022, they did this analysis, and 60% of the calls went unresponded to. This is of the priority 1 and priority 2 calls, where there's an imminent threat to their body, to their personal being, to their property, imminent, okay? These are not casual things. 60% of the calls were unanswered.
And you have to
That's
think.
mean nobody's there. It's not that nobody's coming or it's going to take a while. They're just not coming.
But you said something interesting right there, because a lot of people here and elsewhere feel that, well, it's not even worth the effort to call 911 to report a serious crime. And so
we don't know how many crimes there
Right.
are because they're unreported.
Right.
They say,
Absolutely.
why call if nobody's going to come? They're going to be too late. They're going to be, somebody's going to threaten me if I become a witness. Hey, I'll just stay away. So the person, if caught, they're not going to be tried. They're not going to be convicted. So to them, the chance of punishment, Wirepoint goes through this, chance of punishment is almost zero. So why not commit a crime? People say, why do they commit crimes? No, why not? Because if you can't get a job, can't get a legit job, and you're not going to be punished, I'll just go take somebody else's money, and if I have to, I'll kill them. Because guess what? I don't even know if murder's being punished. I mean, Bob, can we do this much longer?
No, and people have, I've heard it, first of all, when I first ran for alderman and was elected in 07, I was running in 06, I was asking people to sign the petition to get on the ballot. And I heard then, in the South Loop especially, people were leaving then because of crime, taxes, lack of educational opportunities. And it's just snowballed since then. It's gotten worse in areas. This is not a new phenomena. It has snowballed so big that we are faced a problem in this city for our economic base, our survival, which is important. We can talk about the city and what's happening, where the guns are coming from or what, until we have a prosecutor that's willing to prosecute the crimes that are on the book, we're going to get nowhere.
So let's review, because you said you're going to fix things, but you're going to have to fix it one by one by component. You're going to have to deal with, you enjoy working with the police. You respect the police. Unlike the Dems, you don't think they're enemies. You think they're your friend. You're going to work with them. So it starts with the Chicago Police Department are demoralized now. Would that be fair? Even the Dems said that in the primary. There is really low morale in the state's attorney's office, but really low morale with the Chicago Police Department. I think they said that.
I know, yes, we all
know that. So you got to fix that. You got to get that morale up there. You referred to the 5% arrest rate. You got to figure out how you get that arrest rate up, because if they're not getting arrested, you said you want to prosecute. Well, how can you prosecute? You said there are unreported crimes. If they don't report the crime, how can you arrest? How can you prosecute? But before you prosecute, I heard, look, I asked Eileen O'Neill Burke, how do your policies differ from Foxx at a press conference? And she said, detain, detain, detain. Bob, what did she mean by that?
Well, I'm not sure what she meant by that, because I think some of her past efforts on what she has said really shifts the focus on who she's talking to.
Well, let me turn it around. If you say detain, 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 what do you mean by that?
I mean, I'm going before the judge. I will not coddle violent criminals. We will do whatever we can that those who commit violent crimes remain behind bars pending their trial.
And you can do that even under the Safety Act, right? Tell people, how can you do that as a state's attorney?
If the judge looks otherwise, we do an immediate appeal. So there are ways. We are going to prosecute crimes to the fullest. We won't cut things from a felony down to a misdemeanor for charges. We will make sure that they get fully charged on every crime that we can that he or she
So
commits.
shoplifting, first Foxx says that, now it sounds like O'Neill. Burke is going to back up and say that. Shoplifting, the law says if it's over $300, you can charge a felony. That's a serious thing, but you'll do that. But Foxx said, no, I'm a legislator, so she made it over $1,000. Burke said, yeah, I agree, but I don't, because she backed away and she said she's not tough on crime. Does that mean she's not tough on shoplifting? Because, Bob, what would you do? What's your understanding of what you do as a state's attorney if it's $310 and there's a theft and it's shoplifting? What do you charge, Bob? A felony or a misdemeanor?
It's a felony. The statute
That's what the law says. Okay.
That's exactly what the law says. And we need to prosecute pursuant to the law. We are not legislators. And that's what, again, as you just said, the progressive democratic thought pattern is to become the legislature. They usurp the legislative body here in this state.
Okay, so is that what Burke would really say? Yeah, maybe it should.
Well, if she was
maybe
here, I'd
it
ask
should be.
her.
We don't
and,
know.
We'd find a complete commitment, and I'd sign it in front of her that she would prosecute fully under the extent of the law.
You would ask her to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can they trust her? We don't know. Well, come here, Eileen O'Neill Burke. Let's clarify what your position. Let's see if you can persuade people they should trust you, because you know what Reagan said: trust but verify, right? I mean, yeah. Okay, so demoralize Chicago Police Department.
And also undermanned. They don't have enough police officers.
They don't have enough. So you got to get them up to the right number. You got to get more police there. You got to get the arrest rate up. You got to get those crimes reported. You got to get people to staff 911 so they can answer and come out. But then you're still left with a soft mayor, Brandon Johnson. And if you replace the state's attorney, you would say you replaced a soft prosecutor with somebody tough on law and order, somebody who will enforce law and order. But then you got a chief judge, Tim Evans, who says not so much tough on. So what do you do with the soft mayor? What do you do with the soft judge?
Well, I think, first of all.
Can you do anything as state's attorney of Cook County?
Oh, I'm going to be the one who will, with my prosecutors, we will charge the criminal defendant. We're not going to coddle the violent criminal defendant.
When it's a felony, you're charging a felony. You're not going to plead it down.
No.
You're not going to get rid of it
because
you know how to try a case, and so you're going to instruct your assistant state's attorneys. If they try to plead it down, you say, no, you're doing some time. This is a serious crime. Unless you agree to that, we're going to trial. Is that what you tell them to do?
Those who do the crime will do the time. Absolutely.
And you're going. What do you ask the judge? What do you ask the judge to do if it's a guilty verdict?
Well, you know what? You've got to go before the judge and ask for. Depends on the crime, how the maximum sentence is, and what we need to do in front of that judge. So a lot of the things we're talking about is hypothetical, but again, we do not coddle the violent criminal element here in this county. And if you want to do that, you can find a job elsewhere.
Can you change the criminal's mind? Can you say, maybe I don't want to do the crime. Maybe I should try to get a legit job because he or she doesn't want to go to prison. They don't want to go to prison. Can you change their mind to say, you do that, you're going to prison?
Well, you know what? You're saying something which I have found to be very true in the past. Years ago, I used to have, when I was the alderman, I had drug dealers would come to my office or to my home and say, Alderman, I need a job. I can't do what I'm doing on the streets. And you know what? We found people that have jobs. If you're working at good living wage jobs, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you're too tired to commit jobs. So that's how we develop our economic base. We bring jobs here. And I will work with everybody just like I did, and I brought 8,000 jobs to my ward and gave people in the communities jobs. One place, Costco, on 14th and Ashland. It was tough to get that Costco there, but we hired people from the community. At that time, when it opened up, and it's probably more, $40,000 a year. And after 6 months, they had full health insurance. I don't know what they're doing now, but hopefully they've continued that trend.
So you want to persuade the man or woman who might turn to a life of crime, no, don't do that, because you'll get prosecuted, you'll do some hard time, go get a job, we'll help you.
Absolutely.
That's your ultimate goal, right?
I have done that ultimately in my job fairs, how I reached out to the school system, and we don't need to waste our time. We can get right to it and help those in our communities have jobs, hire from the community, and you know what? Again, they're too tired to commit the crime.
So you're helping them, but you got to help the common citizen who wants to go to work, who wants to earn a salary, and who doesn't want to be mugged, doesn't want to be shot. Look, 80% of the homicide victims are black. I mean, this is not a racial thing.
No, it's not.
Because black people they want somebody who's going to commit a crime, commit a homicide, stop them before. They don't want to be a victim. 15% of those victims are Hispanic. Same thing. It's a minority of those folks who are white, but black, brown, white, everybody wants crime stopped. Certainly the hardworking people. The only people who don't want that are criminals, right?
Right.
So,
yeah, but what you're saying on those numbers, it doesn't matter. I've heard it from the communities loud and clear. We have to stop what's happening in our community. We have to stop the crime. And you put it in such a way, but they feel it. They want somebody to be a tough prosecutor.
So you've referred to the data. You've referred to what you know. We know from Wirepoints that violent crime victims in Chicago in the first quarter of this year, have reached 7,530. That's how many violent crime victims we have just in the first 3 months of 2024. We compare that to the first 3 months of 2019, pre-COVID, there were 6,000. So when people say crime going down, 1,500 more crime victims in this first quarter. So you got to be concerned about that, right?
And
you're running on that, right?
If we break that down, I'm not sure what those numbers are, but it's awfully high. I know for the average amount of cars stolen in the city of Chicago for the first 3 months per day was 61 cars per day. We have to put an end to this, and we have to have people that feel safe. They have to feel safe that their kids, and don't forget, get to school. I was one of the people that started Operation Safe Passage to make sure our kids get to school safely. And these are the things we need to do. I do believe that we can make our streets safe again, and we can have an enjoyable quality of life in every neighborhood, that merchants and retail owners can feel, that they can feel safe in their communities and their businesses.
Okay, so give them in 20 seconds, a few words. What do you have to do as a state's attorney to do what's necessary to make the streets safe? What do you have to do?
Well, there's plenty that I have behind, but again, prosecute those that are responsible for the crimes. Let's not coddle violent criminals. Let's back the police in our communities. Let's work collaboratively together, and we will have safe streets, strong communities, thriving businesses in every area of this county.
Okay, Bob Fioretti, Republican nominee for state's attorney. You come back. We got 6 months. We want to see you again. And Eileen O'Neill Burke, you come on. We want to see both of you separately, and we want to see you clash, a debate, and you come back. People who are watching this, thank you so much for watching. You come back to Public Affairs next week and every week.